Hey everyone, welcome to this new episode of Candid Convos. You might be wondering, it says Candid Convos with Celia Werner. This person on my screen is not Celia Werner, but if you saw the little scroll at the bottom, you said today's guest is the very own host of the show, Celia Werner. You might remember me. I'm Chris Dane. I was on a previous episode about 2 weeks back. So let's bring in Celia Werner, the founder of Celia Werner Productions. Let's bring her in right now for a conversation.
Hey, Chris. It's
Hey
weird to be
Celia.
on the interview side this time. I mean, I'm on my regular side, but I'm going to
Yeah,
be
well,
answering questions.
but yes, you are the interviewee as in opposed to the interviewer from as opposed to normal. Um, but obviously, there's a special reason we're doing it this way today, and obviously, it's because it's your birthday.
Yes, it is.
Happy birthday!
Thank you so much. I appreciate it. And I appreciate you taking the time to come on the show and ask me questions for once.
Yeah, absolutely. And so let's kick it off. Let's get straight to it. So let's talk about COVID-19 and how it's affecting you, and not just in the in the sense of we're all quarantined, we're all staying at home, but you have a very unique skill set that is more applied to going out, doing stuff live, covering live events, going places to shoot things. But now you've had to adjust your business and the way you do things, and you launched this program, Candid Convos. What inspired you to start that, and what made you want to pursue this as your way of approaching the coronavirus lockdown?
So, for those who don't know me, obviously I run a video production company, like you said, which obviously I'm well versed in using a camera and live stream software. Uh, so I decided to create some content and create this show because way back when, before I even got into videography, went to college for it, I wanted to be a YouTuber.
Mhm.
So I liked being on camera, but I always like had some sort of barrier between me actually making the content and continuing with it. And a combination of the fact that we're home and I have the time to do this, and the fact that I really like to educate people, has kind of spiraled into me making like tutorials for people who need to shoot things at home, creating this show to give people a platform to get their information, their education, their I guess specialty out there. And it's been really fulfilling for me because one, I get to have an amazing conversation every day, a very
Mhm.
pointed topic driven conversation about different different things, and a lot that I didn't know before, in terms of like I learned about legal. I've learned about video games, which
Nice.
it sounded like a topic that I was like, oh, I'll have someone talk about video games. But I had Brandon on, and he's super, super knowledgeable about everything from old school games to what's going on now. And I learned a
Mhm.
lot in there too. So just being able to bring people together and create a community where we're all learning and hopefully getting a chance to ask questions to specialists. It's just been a lot of great experiences.
Yeah, you had a lot of great guests on, including you said lawyers, real estate agents. More recently, John and his girlfriend Ashley, who were great talking about their experience, having COVID and
Mhm.
recovering from it. Um, so this has been a wonderful platform for you to just sort of go beyond what you normally do, which is still a really cool thing. Going out shooting a
Mhm.
variety of events and commercials and things like that. So what have you mentioned this being partially fulfilling? What has been the most fulfilling thing about it? Is it just having those conversations, or is it beyond that?
Well, to be completely honest, one of the reasons that I'm doing this show is to give me something to look forward to every day. For
Cool.
those who don't know, I live alone. So the only time I see someone is if my boyfriend comes over, but that's not every day. And we also are being very careful about all of that.
Mhm.
I'm the only one here, so I'm the one assuming risk if he does come over. Or else it's people on video. And the fact that I have something to get up, get ready for, interact with people, and provide information to people has been really important to me. And that's the most fulfilling part. And just the fact that a bunch of people have been tuning in and sharing the episodes has really made it all worth it for me because it means that I'm touching like people's lives and educating people from afar.
Absolutely. And yeah, like I said, it's been interesting to watch. Obviously some of these videos and some of these guests you have on the topics they're discussing are just normally interesting. It'd be interesting in a time when we have a bunch of stuff to do and when we can do whatever we want. But now, obviously, with all of us having a lot more free time on our hands,
Oh yeah.
it gives us something to enjoy and not just mindless entertainment. It's something that's usually informative, or if it's at the very least, it's a lot of fun to
Hmm.
hear and listen to someone who is knowledgeable and passionate talk about. Um, so what else have you been doing though? Because obviously, this isn't your full day. You have your hour long conversation with these people, and then you go about doing the rest of. So how does Celia Werner fill in part of her day during lockdown?
Well, that is an interesting answer because you would think it's just an hour to do this because I've been putting in full days over here every day.
Yeah.
Believe it or not, between booking guests, prepping everyone, making sure that everyone knows how this is going to run down. I actually managed to get the podcast onto Apple Podcasts and SoundCloud and all these different places. So making sure it reaches all those different places has taken a little bit of time. And then I'm planning different kinds of posts and different kinds of information because I basically am just trying to use the time that I have to get the most out of it, if that makes sense.
No, totally.
So uh, I'm creating different educational videos. I'm working on fun content. One day I cut my boyfriend's hair, and that
Yeah.
was something to bring smiles to people's faces. But I'm doing the normal stuff that other people are doing as well. So I'm cooking, doing lots of dishes because, even though I have a little dishwasher that I bought myself for my birthday because I don't have one or
Mhm.
didn't have one, those all stack up when you're cooking all your meals. And
They do.
I've been watching a lot of Netflix. So it's been a lot of stuff, just the average stuff, I
Cool.
guess.
Yeah. So, what's your Netflix recommendation? What's been on your watch list that you just started watching?
That's tough. I did the whole Tiger King thing.
I have
Um,
not, and I will not.
I don't discount it. It's done really well from a production standpoint, so I would
I
recommend
believe
that.
that, but it's one of those pieces of content that I feel like I don't need to rot my brain with that right now.
Fair. I actually decided to go back and watch a bunch of movies that I wanted to watch or just like to
Cool.
refresh myself on it. So last night I watched Hail Caesar, the Coen
Yes.
Brothers movie, which was really cool because the way that they did it was they shot it the way that you would watch a movie in the 50s, but with like an ultra HD camera. So it was like
Yeah.
really cool to see it that way. And it was like tripping me out a little bit because when I watch old Hollywood stuff, I'm not used to seeing it so crisply with color.
Yeah.
Um,
That's
and
tough.
then, yeah, and I found a bunch of movies that are classics that I added to like my watch list. And one of them is one of your favorite movies, Hook is on Netflix.
I know.
And that'll be fun because I'll watch that with Eric, who hasn't seen it before. The
Haven't
Matrix
seen
is
it.
also on there. I know,
So
it's
good.
crazy, right? But that's kind of what I'm doing on Netflix. That and a million and one food documentaries because I love watching food documentaries.
Can't go wrong with food documentaries. That is a
Like,
fact. Um, yeah. So again, you're hosting candid conversations. Obviously, you gave us a little bit of an inside peek behind the curtain because it's easy to sit here and watch and be like, okay, an hour long conversation with someone. That's pretty cool. Um, how do you decide who you're going to reach out to and how to book them?
so that's actually a really good question because my goal for this show, and whenever I explain it to someone, is to um, vary the guests as much as possible.
Mhm.
But obviously, I'm having people who I know personally on and having people within my network on. Down the line, it's going to be a little more varied. I have a few social media influencers that I'm talking to right now
Cool.
about being on, and a couple of different just kinds of people from different parts of the country. Because obviously, a lot of the people that I've had on, I think all of them but one or two, all of them but yeah, all of them but one are in the Northeast. So
Okay.
I'm trying to branch out a little bit from there to get some other perspectives. So
Totally.
it's kind of a mishmash of, all right, I had this kind of person on this week. I don't want to have like 2 personal trainers on in 1 week because I want to give the I guess attention to whoever my guest is.
Right.
So like I don't want to back to back something that's similar because maybe my audience wants to watch one physical trainer but the other one won't get the same turnout. So
Right.
it's a lot of figuring out, and I'll have an idea and I'll just be like, all right, who do I know that knows about Broadway? And then you came to
Right.
mind, or
Yep.
who do I know that is a health professional? And I was like, obviously my chiropractor.
Yeah,
So
that
it's
makes
been
sense.
a lot of that kind of thing. And now a couple of people have reached out to me and were
Cool.
like, hey, I would love to be on the show. And I'm like, perfect. Are you around Monday?
No, that's awesome. And I mean, you touched on this a little bit in the last response, but what have been some of the biggest challenges with one putting the show together, getting the show together, and even being on air sometimes?
So there's been a couple of different things. So one of the things that has kind of helped me is I know a lot about a lot of things
Hmm.
because I work with a lot of different kinds of industries, a lot of different kinds of businesses, and filming different places, you get an insight into what's happening there. But if you have a guest on who you don't know too much about what they do, it gets difficult. Like you can do your research, but like for instance, when I had my chiropractor on, I know a ton about chiropractic because one, I get treated for chiropractic, and two,
Hmm.
I've shot so many videos with Dr. Mike already that I know exactly what to ask to get him to respond the way that I need him to.
Totally.
But with someone that I'm not super familiar with the field, I kind of need to do my research and then try to be as little awkward as possible when I'm asking questions because I have a tendency to over ask
I
and
get
just
you.
keep rambling.
No,
So
believe me,
I'm trying to work on that.
I get that. Back when I was at Hofstrand and did WRHU, I had a very bad tendency when I first started to ask questions that were longer than the responses. Sometimes that's on the guest, sometimes that's on me for asking, a 3-minute long question and then getting like a 2-minute long answer.
Mhm.
So I can sympathize heavily with that issue. And especially if it's especially if you're talking about a topic that you're not an expert in compared to someone else.
Yeah.
Um,
The worst part is when you're doing it.
Yeah, no,
You're just
you're like
like, stop talking.
you're like,
Stop
"Okay,
talking.
I'm rambling, but I can't just stop rambling because it's gonna sound weird if I just stop, so I have to find a way to stop."
Mhm.
It's tough. Um, you mentioned before you're cooking a lot, so I'm gonna ask
Mhm.
you the hard-hitting questions of what are you cooking?
What am
What are
I
you
cooking?
cooking for today?
Very, very good question. I, before everything happened, stocked up at Costco, so I have many, many kinds of meats. So I've been cooking variations of chicken, beef, and steak,
Cool.
as well as last night I took some bell peppers and I fried those up with some olive oil and mixed it in
Nice.
with some pea pasta and put a little bit of vegan mozzarella cheese because I can't have regular mozzarella cheese, and that was really good. So been
Ah,
doing a lot of that. I've been
cool.
relying, if you watch my show, on what's it called? Strawberry lemonade,
Yeah.
Starbucks refreshers
Yeah.
to step up for these shows because I'm not. Oh, I told you someone was going to try and FaceTime me during this.
Yeah, you did say this is
I don't know who it was, but I stopped it. It was someone that knew I was doing this.
Oh,
Um,
okay.
oh well, but
I'll understand.
but yeah, I've been having those and the little V8 energies to get extra fruits and vegetables in at a time where a lot of people are scared to buy fruits and vegetables.
Yeah, no, that's very smart, and I know you've had physical trainers on, you've had people on,
Mhm,
um, come on to discuss, like, fitness while staying at home, so
mhm.
how have you been staying active? Because I know I've been struggling with getting up from my morning and doing something to get my body going. How have you been doing that?
I am a bad trainee for my physical
Me
trainers
too.
because they've been amazing. It's relentless strength and performance, and Eric and Brandon have been sending me workouts every single day, but seldom do I get to it because I am doing so much with this and so much with
Right.
I've been doing a lot of learning. because I'm kind of teaching myself how to do my own SEO online and all of that kind of stuff.
The
So
stuff.
before I know it, by the time I do my live and by the time I get everything up and do emails, it's like 8, 9 o'clock at night. And I'm like,
So
where did the time go? But like, I need to figure out a way to get up a little earlier and actually get my workout in. So
it's a struggle.
it's a struggle, but I mean, I'm sorry, Eric, if you're watching, and Brandon, but I'm trying my best.
No, yeah, I think that's the hardest part, like trying to reacclimate back to
Mhm.
a semblance of normal life. And you're like,
Mhm.
how do I do all the things I did without
Yeah.
going to the places I went?
Yeah, I mean, I have I'm a little lucky because I'm used to doing like half at home and half out and about.
That's good.
So I have my home studio, which is why I have the green screen. I have to actually flatten out the green screen because it's starting to get wrinkles. But I also have my office downstairs.
Yeah.
So I didn't have too much of a shift in terms of getting used to being at home,
Mhm.
but because now I was doing all of my work at home, it was a while until I got a schedule down.
Right.
Because I would be like, I can still work. I could keep working. Yeah, it's midnight, but that's okay.
So how did that come about? When did you finally sit down with yourself and go, okay, here's the schedule I need to adhere to? Because that's one of the big things that a lot of people have said. Like when you're home all the time, you have to give yourself a daily schedule, or else you're gonna feel like garbage at some point.
Honestly, it's when I started the podcast
Great.
because it usually happens at 12 and I will do all that I can up until 12 o'clock. So I will wake up, I will get ready, I will do all of the emails and stuff that I can before 12, and that's kind of my marker for planning my days out.
Mhm.
I've also gotten a planner and have been writing all of the things that I'm doing in the planner. It's from a brand called Evo. Project Evo, I think, is what their Instagram handle is.
Cool.
And what it is, and I actually have a link or a code for it if people want.
Oh yeah,
I
for
guess,
sure.
but the way it works is there's 4 different kinds of brain types, and the layout of the planner is different based off of your brain type. So
That's
it
cool.
works a little better for me because I am less scattered all over the place, if that
Smart.
makes sense.
No, totally, I get that.
So
No,
that's what I've been doing.
yeah, it's really cool. So we went through what you've been doing outside of the podcast and all that stuff. Obviously, like I said, a lot of your work before the podcast pertained to going on shoots, going to places, doing things with people, which obviously is not possible right now. How
Mhm.
far in advance are you able to be planning right now for when events eventually reopen, or is that just like, is everyone sort of like, we'll get back to you because we're not sure yet either?
So to answer that question, I'm going to take like a step back and kind of go from like where we were to into COVID to into future.
Yeah, let's.
So before COVID, everything was fine. People would book me out, whether it's days, months, or years in advance, because some people plan things like weddings or
Yeah,
like big corporate events that far out.
right, of course.
Um, with how me and my company works, it's if we're available, we're available.
Right.
So it's a bit of a variation. A lot of the things that I had booked at the time that COVID started were related to like recording big things like Comic-Con in Philadelphia, or I
Which,
was
yeah,
in
no.
Disney World when this all started coming out, which I kind of bring up every episode, but I was in Disney World filming an event. And before that, I was in Arizona doing a big convention, a medical convention.
Mhm,
So those were the kinds of things that like I was back to back on those different projects. I was supposed to go down to DC to do a symposium.
mhm.
And basically within 2 days, everything was canceled through
Okay.
uh, through mid-May, and then
Wow.
it started going past mid-May. So right now, I'm kind of in a weird spot where between all of those big conventions and all of the videos that I was doing with smaller clients, kind of just got swept to the side. And it's when things go back, we'll reassume. So right now, my schedule is indefinitely open. But,
So
I've
what
been
you're saying is if you have a project or something years in advance, totally slide in right now.
Yes. But the thing is, I've been kind of pivoting and trying to do some side things from home.
Mm,
I One of the things that I've been doing is audio visual help for things like live streams.
cool.
There's a company that I help. Uh, they do webinars for continuing education, and basically what happens is I'm on there and monitoring it for the day to make sure that there's no tech issues, because that not all speakers know how to use live
No,
stream and figure out how to connect everything. So I've been helping that way. And if anyone has editing projects, me and my company are also helping out with that.
that's awesome.
But on a completely real note, like I'm not really working very much right now. So
Mhm.
I, just like everyone else, am wading through the line of uh, unemployment, because that's the reality of the situation.
No,
Because
yeah.
a lot of us can't work right now. I'm trying to do my best to help people, but
Mhm. No, it's a
you
tough spot to be in because, like we've been mentioning, like a lot of a bulk of your work has to do
know.
with being near other people or shooting an event. Obviously, now people are reinventing the way they do
Mhm,
things, so you can get in and and help with webinar work, but it's not exactly the same as you
mhm,
know going to that big conference in person and shooting it for them and making
mhm.
that video for them. Uh, so it's tough, and I think it's
Mhm.
good to get perspective though that from
It's
like
the reality of the situation, like you're saying. And like I know a lot of people see all the content that I'm making and probably think I'm getting paid or something to do it. Which the reality is I'm not. And that I didn't really want to skirt around the fact that I'm trying to get on unemployment and all of that with all the phone calls and everything, because
right,
you know, right now is hard for everyone. And just because you see someone posting a lot, especially for creatives and different people that are doing their best to keep content going, it's what they are having you perceive is going on. And
right.
it's not always the actual, situation. So
Mm,
I wanted to be real about that, and not really skirt around it, because
no, that's smart. No, yeah, because obviously, like you said, it's tough right now because
Mhm,
you're a content creator along with your other parts of your business,
mhm,
um, and you can't stop being a content creator just because
mhm,
everything shuts down. Because
yeah.
that if you stop producing content, people stop
Mhm,
watching your content, and it's a vicious cycle then. Um, but no, it's an important point you bring up that just because someone looks like they're doing okay, especially right now, does not necessarily mean that. So I think it's time for a lot of people to reach out to your friends, anyone who. Something you've mentioned a lot is if you can spare a like, if you can spare a share,
yeah.
you know, do it because
It
it's
means a
great.
lot.
Yeah,
Um, for someone who's creating content like me, like I'm not being asked to make this content. I'm not
yeah,
asking people to like or share. It really makes me uncomfortable to do so.
no, I get
I was having a couple people share one of my episodes of this, actually, and I literally was sweating. I was
I got
sweating. I
I
was
got
shaking
two
with
texts saying
anxiety.
I am sweating,
Yeah.
capitals sweating.
Yes. I'm pretty sure I just sent you the word sweating like 15 times.
It
But
was a lot.
for someone like me, like I make content all the time, and like I hope that people want to share it, and I hope that people enjoy it and leave me a comment, because it means that I see that I have the support
Yeah,
of those people. But in reality, that's not always the case, because people scroll and people look, and they don't stop and show you that they were there. But I get people all the time messaging me and saying, "Oh, you're doing so many great things with all of the content. I love it. I've been tuning in." And I'm like, "Oh, cool. I wish I knew that when I was on live." But
yeah,
if you have any like content creator friends, or like if you want to support me, like liking my page or subscribing to my YouTube channel, liking a post even if you didn't watch it, just
it helps.
supporting is I couldn't ask for anything more.
Yeah, no, because and not to get into the wonky weeds of algorithms, but Facebook and YouTube share a very similar algorithm. If you like, it does a little bit. It helps. If you share, obviously, it gets
Mhm.
shared to your timeline and people who see that. And then comments though show the biggest interaction, and
Yeah.
it it says people are actively engaged with your work. So if you have the time to here's the thing. I don't see the reason why you can't spare a like. A like is simplest thing. You click like, scroll. A share, if you're comfortable putting that on your timeline, and nothing you've done has been controversial. So
No,
it's not like you're bringing on a politician to be like, here, talk about this thing. So which
I
would be
try
a
really hard not to do that.
yeah, I don't. There's nothing remotely controversial in any of the episodes you've had so far, except unless you count like my Broadway hot takes. Um,
I
so
mean, you
pardon.
really don't like Mamma Mia.
I really don't like Mamma Mia. So if you feel uncomfortable sharing that view, I get it. Um, but everything else, it's been like a lot of very useful or informative information. That's just cool to have around. So
Mhm.
if you can spare a share, take the second just to share it on your timeline, even better. And if you can leave a comment, the best.
I don't want to ask, but I appreciate you plugging for me.
Yeah, no, I there's a reason like there's that joke about every YouTuber that does it like at the end of their videos. It's because they have to. This is part of your job.
I know. I have to be a little better with that, but also it's just I'm not someone that likes to be the center of attention.
Right.
It makes me uncomfortable. I kind of I like when I started doing all of these live streams, I was literally having a small panic attack before each and every one.
I can imagine.
Now I'm much more comfortable on camera, like much more comfortable. I'm like
Yeah.
finally able to like make jokes and this and that and be comfortable and be myself on camera, but it wasn't always like that. And
Oh, I
i
remember when it wasn't like that.
also with like all of the instructional videos and stuff I've been making for YouTube, it used to take me about 2 hours to shoot one like 5-minute video
Mhm.
because I would be so hard on myself, and I would kind of, and I'm sorry for Eric because he sat through this. I would redo it so many times, and be really hard on myself because I didn't want to come off as not knowledgeable or like I'm saying something wrong or if I have wrong information.
Right.
And I was so picky on trying to be perfect, but I realized that you don't have to be perfect to make content.
Yeah, no, I not to throw you under the bus, but I remember back when we were both at Hofstra, you had me over just to for a video thing you were doing, like the
Yeah.
and it was quite a few hours for you to talk about something that we had talked about off camera very easily.
What did we
Like
do?
it was something about a camera. I don't remember exactly what it was,
Oh,
but
yes.
but it was like some camera review or like breakdown of how to use it. And like you had done like the whole thing for me off camera. The second the
Mhm.
camera was on though, it was like you were like,
Nope.
words.
I
And I was
Yeah. Literally, like I have a problem where like all of the information just turns off.
yeah. But this has shown that obviously you've grown since then
Mhm,
too. So you can now put together videos and do live streams without
mhm.
freezing up and not knowing what to say at all. Um,
Yeah, it's been
yeah.
really helpful, and it also has trickled a little bit into my Instagram stuff too, because I always try and provide value in all of my posts,
Yeah.
in some way, shape, or form. And I used to be super picky on what I can and could not put on Instagram, and I realized that if it's someone who's a fan or someone interested in whatever the content is in terms of like the actual content, like
Yeah.
not how I look in the picture but like the actual like meaning of the post, they're still gonna like it. It was all in my head.
Yeah. No, I think that's a big hurdle for a lot of content creators, which obviously you're speaking to is the idea that you have to every post you have to put up has to be liked or has to reach a certain amount.
Hmm.
It's kind of it's a little bit scary to think about that like if you want to be a content creator you have to curate a particular image
Hmm.
and really pick and choose what you have. Like how have you
Yeah.
hit that wall and like come across it and like grown with that?
I mean, it's a lot to deal with, especially because right now I have actually scaled up my posting cycle on everything
Mhm.
a ridiculous amount. Like, I'm gonna tell you what I'm doing, and you're gonna probably feel sick from the amount of stuff I'm doing.
Probably a little bit.
So I'm doing 2 educational posts on Instagram each day. And I have a cycle of a picture of me, something to do with production, and a miscellaneous column. So if you look at my account, it's like that. So I have to follow that even though I'm in the middle of stuff. So that's my first account. The second account is my business account, which I post by row. So that's 3 posts for every time I post on there. And then I'm doing the live stream, which has a time constraint. So I have to be on every single day. I don't have to, but I elected that just because I want to get as much information out as possible. Everything that's going on Instagram is going on Facebook and LinkedIn. So lots of duplication. Everything also gets duplicated to YouTube, SoundCloud, and Apple Podcasts. So I'm spending my whole day making sure everything makes it everywhere.
Which it's a lot.
Saying it out loud, it sounds a little more neurotic than I thought that it is when I'm doing it. But I'm just trying to make sure that all of the information that I can possibly put out to help is making it out to as many people as possible.
No, totally. And you're right. It sounds neurotic, but again, it's one of those things that when you think about content creators, you don't think about all the work they put into it. Like, you're like, oh yeah, they made a video. They edited that video. They put that video up. Yes, that is the basic gist of it. But, in the long run, it's, okay, how long did they take to make that video? And where are they marketing it? How are they getting it out there, et cetera, et cetera. I think a lot of people and even now when we're consuming a lot more content than normal because we all have more time on our hands, I think a lot of people take it for granted how much work goes into their favorite content creators and especially content creators they know personally.
Yeah, one of the things that I struggle with most, because I'm constantly making my posts, I'm constantly working on everything, is the share part. The way that one gets views is going to Facebook pages and groups and things like that and saying, hey, either I or my friend made this video that I think would really resonate with your audience. But I'm already doing all of that, trying to handle all of the things for the live stream, trying to get guests, trying to foster some deals with brands so that my followers can get like a percentage off of a product, for instance, like that planner. Or I actually am working with like a CBD company and a couple other places to try and get things moving. Because while everyone's home, they might need products, and I'm trying to do my best to get a bunch of codes for them. And I'm working on all of these things. But I'm getting the content out, but I'm not getting a ton of viewership on it. So it's like this vicious cycle where I if I spend the day trying to get something out, is that going to have the return? And am I going to get behind? And there's all of these things that go with it and drive me crazy on the daily. But the biggest thing is like having people share things and getting people to like and follow the pages. That's the hardest part. I always feel like I'm asking someone to do like a Yelp review and they get the response of, I don't want to make a Yelp account and I don't want to do this. And I don't want to do a review. And that's how it feels in my head whenever I ask someone to share my video or like something, or, hey, can you put a comment? Like, I feel like I'm imposing.
I get you to an extent, because like for Yelp, it's like, yeah, okay, they have to make a Yelp account, they have to leave the review. Now, here's the thing: if you message someone on Facebook, that means they have a Facebook. So I get like if you're not going to impose on someone who's if you know someone doesn't have an Instagram, you're like, hey, could you go like my post on Instagram? And they go, no, I get it, because they don't have an Instagram. But if you message someone on Facebook, like, hey, could you just like this post on Facebook? Well, they have a Facebook, so you're not imposing on them for that.
Usually, they also have a link to exactly what you want them to see.
Yeah, and YouTube is even easier because it's almost everyone I know has a Google account. For some reason or another, they have a Google account, so they can log in and they can leave a little comment. They go like, "Great job." That's all you have to do.
The weird thing is Facebook is a much better and easier platform than YouTube to get views on these days.
Yeah, because you go to the video section, and if it pops up, you're like, oh, let me watch a few minutes of this or all of it if it's particularly interesting.
Well, for those of you who aren't like super into video, if you think about it, if you upload a video to Facebook, it's already embedded and it'll start playing on your timeline as you're scrolling.
Yeah.
So it's actually a lot easier to get views there than it is on YouTube, because some of my videos that have thousands of views on Facebook have like 30 views on YouTube, just because it's a very saturated platform. So that's
Right.
why I kind of focus on Facebook and Instagram.
Yeah. No, it totally makes sense. And the autoplay feature is a blessing to content creators because
Mhm.
it will start playing and you might just hear something that's very interesting and you'll
Mhm.
stick around. Whereas with YouTube, you have to be like, is this going to be interesting? Do I want to waste the time to
Mhm.
click on it, or am I going
Well,
to watch the
yeah,
ad?
exactly. And especially with sharing like a YouTube post onto Facebook, like
Yeah.
it's not playing. It has the play button.
Yeah.
And sometimes people like it, but that doesn't mean that they actually watched the video.
Right. No, it's tough because that doesn't mean they always followed the link on your post.
Exactly.
Complicated. It's complicated. It's a
Mhm.
lot. Again, there's a lot more work that goes into content creation, and the spreading of it than is
Mhm.
perceived by the average person, I believe.
Definitely.
It's a
I try
lot.
and explain that all the time to my clients, because we can make a video. There's no
Right.
problem. We can make a video, but it sometimes people quantify if the video worked based off of how many views that they get on that video. But it's all tied to how far are you pushing that video out? Are you
Yeah.
just dropping it on your YouTube channel and not sending it to anyone? Are
Yeah.
you
Because
putting it in like your email, like at the bottom under your signature? Are
yeah.
you posting it to like the local Long Island groups and things like that? Or like there's so many different ways to get it out there, but someone needs to take the hour or two to actually do it.
No. Yeah. Because like I have a YouTube channel. It's got like 20 subscribers. I don't care about it. I put stuff up there that I make and do, but I don't care about the sharing of it. So I
Mhm.
know when I put something up that if people see it, it's just by luck because I'm not
Mhm.
sharing it typically. So, but
Exactly.
but you have to understand if if you're a company and your YouTube channel has 10 subscribers and it gets more than 10 views, congrats, you've lucked out. But
Mhm.
you have to put some legwork in on sharing it, or pay someone to put legwork in to share it and
Exactly.
help grow your content. So it's definitely this is I always think it's one of the most interesting conversations to have about content creation because there's so many misconceptions slash false information out there about it.
Well, a lot of people just think about it as, oh, you just took a picture on your phone and you put it up. Like, no, sometimes I use my camera like I'm using right now, and
Yeah.
I take it and I edit it and I thoughtfully write out a description. Some other people might just take a picture on their phone and throw it up, but I feel like you can really tell when someone's putting the time in, especially if they write you that long paragraphed description. The description is easily the hardest part for me,
Totally.
and some people aren't like native writers, so people have to learn to do that.
No. Yeah, no.
It's hard.
Believe me, I can just go. I mean, I don't put all the work in like the taking like a good camera out and editing. But even when I just take a picture, I'm like, what do I say about this? I'm like, I did this thing.
I did this thing. I went to this place. In
I
your
went.
case, I drew this thing. You have
I
some
drew this
wonderful
thing. I
drawings.
saw this show. I interviewed this person. Like
Hmm.
that's my Instagram in a nutshell.
Yeah, but I mean, at least you are taking the effort to kind of catalog the types of things that you're doing,
Yeah.
which I give you applause for.
Thank you. Thank you.
Quite applause.
Well, I applaud you back for dedicating like a time and schedule to the way you post things, how you post things, and the
Hmm.
reason why you're posting them, and putting thought and effort into them beyond just the here's a picture of me, here's this thing, here's that thing. When you could easily simplify this to, all right, here's a picture of me with a simple stupid caption like TGIF,
Yep.
or like
I have a friend who takes meme quotes and just puts it to her stuff, and her stuff is
fun.
hilarious. But yeah, like it could be that simple, but I try and provide as much value as possible, because there's different kinds of value that you can
Yeah.
kind of give to someone through social media and posting. One of them obviously is on entertainment. That's a
Mhm.
big one. Making someone laugh, making someone feel better, inspiring them to do something.
Yeah.
Um, educational, which obviously I like to be in that realm, because just because someone's not a super experienced videographer doesn't mean they can't make content.
No,
So
totally.
I've done things with like phone tripods and how to light a Zoom call and how to like get a little microphone like this to improve your audio. There's so many things that are just this much information that'll just make everything look and sound so much better. But
Yeah.
it just needs to get out to them and get created and get made. So there's definitely more kinds of value that you can give to someone, but those are the ones that I kind of stick with.
Yeah, no, and I think it's smart because obviously you could go for scattershot value, which is
Mhm.
tough because then no one really knows what you're about. But focusing in on education, entertainment
Mhm.
helps. It says I know that if I go to your YouTube page, which is
Celia Werner.
Celia Werner, simple, concise, easy, but you got to plug it, man. You never know.
And then
So yeah,
Instagram is this one. Most of everything else is this one or Celia Werner Productions.
yeah. So you can find that all on all the social
Promise it's
media.
all in the description. It's in every single live description.
See, there you go. But yeah, but when if I go to your YouTube channel, I know that I'm going to get something that's either funny or educational or both, perhaps. If it's a good combo piece.
I do
Um,
my
but
best.
yeah, usually is. But a lot of the content you've been putting out recently has been obviously very useful. Like how to light a Zoom call, how to sound better on a Zoom call. Because obviously at this point in time, that's all we're doing. Or we're using other services like Streamlabs, Skype, etc. But a lot of it still applies.
Yeah. Well, the thing is, I was making content about some higher end gear for photo video. I
Mhm.
do a series called In Studio Saturdays, where I would take a concept or a piece of equipment and I would talk about it. I
Cool.
kind of decided to take like 5 steps back, and instead of making content that may be interesting to someone who is specifically in the industry, taking a few steps back and figuring out how can I make this accessible to someone who's just home.
Right.
So that's why the information shifted that way, and I made the videos a lot more frequently than Saturdays. But that was kind of the way I was thinking about it, because production could be really confusing for people. And yeah, they might watch my video about what an Adamus is, which most people are like, "What the heck is that?" It's like a
Right.
recording screen, basically. But for someone who needs to do a bunch of Zoom calls, it's much more useful for them to either have a microphone or know what lighting actually does for an image,
Yeah.
or if they're using like their phone, that they don't need to hold their phone like this for the entire meeting or put it on something that's going to fall over.
Yeah. Totally. No,
So
again, it is a lot of this is now news you can use, which is
mhm.
always useful. Not that your
Yep.
stuff wasn't news you could use before, but it was now it's news you need to use. Let me say that.
Yeah,
Let me put it that way.
it's kind of a little bit of a redirectioning of my audience, instead of just like very dedicated like people in
Right.
the industry. It's something that everyone can take a little bit of information from, even people that are in the industry. I've been getting messages, and it's been really really nice to have that feedback, because
Yeah.
there's one person, he's from Australia, and he messaged me and he was like, "Thank you so much for all of the stuff you've been putting out on Instagram, because I'm home and I am going crazy, and I've learned so much already from the different things that you're putting out." I literally read that and like I like started tearing up. I sent like a screenshot to like a couple people. I was like,
Yeah.
people care that I'm doing things. And
No, that's great.
and I responded. I was like, "Thank you so much for the support. It really means a lot that you reached out. And if you want, you can tune into all of my lives on Facebook if you want hours and hours of content." And
Yeah.
they've come back, and it's amazing. And it really makes me feel good and like I'm making a difference when someone does that, because so many people, like I said, just they'll scroll, they'll be like, "Huh, that was good." They'll continue to scroll, but you don't know who's being a part of your community.
No, it's tough because unless they make it known, you don't know.
Yeah.
Um, Obviously, it becomes a bit easier to know you have a community once it grows to that size, but
Mhm.
therein lies the struggle, I suppose, right?
Yeah,
You have to
definitely.
put, yeah, so it's always going to be tough just to get to that point, but
It's also
you're
hard to
putting in
grow
the
it.
like yeah. No, it's tough, but it's hopefully it will be fulfilling completely one day. You know, beyond what you got now currently. Uh,
Definitely. I'm just hoping, like, with all of the brand awareness that I'm doing right now and all of the
yeah,
help that I'm trying to provide, it down the line, it'll help, like,
yeah.
people will know that they can come to me and hopefully they'll follow me so that they can see the journey that I'm kinda on, and if I can help them on a project, I'll help them on a project.
No, totally. It makes a lot of sense to me. So I'm terrible at moving conversations onward.
I mean, I can probably think of something,
Sure.
if you
What do you want to talk about? Yeah.
Uh, I've been doing a lot of networking during
Yeah.
COVID, which has been interesting. Like I've obviously had people on here, and I've obviously had some very in-depth conversations with them, and also now they understand a little bit more about what I do because they've gone through the process of being on a live stream, which is awesome. And now if
Yeah.
they know someone that needs one, they can kind of explain what I'm doing. But I've been getting some interesting messages about uh, helping people in like a consulting manner. For instance, I got a phone call yesterday from a woman in South Carolina saying, "Hey, I pastor at this church and we had our cameras get stolen, so I need to buy a camera. Like, what can we do? I need to stream out our services." And I
Yes,
was like,
I'm at the
"Huh,
church.
yeah, I know. It was very random." And she was like, "Where are you located?" And I was like, "New York." Like, "Oh gosh, like I hope that everything's okay." And I was like, "Yeah, I know. New York is a little bit of a."
We are the hot spot in America for.
Anytime people hear that I'm from New York, they're like, "Oh my God, are you okay?" I'm like,
Yeah, I'm from New York, but not New York, New York.
"Yes, I'm not. Well, I mean, we're not that far from New York, New York."
We're not,
Um,
but
but
yeah.
but yeah, so like it's been interesting because just making those connections and making the time to hop on a Zoom call with
Mm,
someone and get to know them a bit. I know that it's hard to do things and network and like even like recommend out things for like different businesses right now because so many people are home. But I've made some really great contacts that I know down the line, if I need help on a project or if they need help on a project, we can definitely make something work and work towards like building that relationship further.
yeah, no, totally, and it's smart to be, one. It's always smart to be building your network as one, just a content creator, and then as two, as part of your videography business, and things like that. So smart. Weird question. Has it been easier or harder to build these connections and contacts? Because right now you kind of have an excuse to reach out to anyone.
Honestly, I would say it's a weird situation right now because
Yeah,
I think it's a little easier at the moment because a lot of the people that you would be like, oh well, maybe next time at the networking event I'll talk to them. Like
yeah,
it's kind of shifted to like, hey, I see you're doing this thing. Let's talk. Maybe we can set up a time to do a Zoom call, or you send them an email and say like, uh, hey, like whether it's like a past client or just someone
right.
that you don't know, like I see you're doing great things, or like I'm really interested in your business. I think it's kind of forced people a little bit out of their shell a little.
Yeah,
I don't know. It's been a lot easier for me, and I've been getting a ton of messages on places like LinkedIn or Instagram because they see all the content I'm posting. So I guess I'm at some point at the front of their mind enough for them to reach out.
right. No, and it seems like that would be the case. Obviously, especially because a lot of these business, like I know you've had real estate agents on.
Hmm.
They're not exactly selling a ton of houses right now because they
Hmm.
can't have open houses. They can't do
Hmm.
X, Y, Z things that they normally would. So it gives you an opportunity to reach out and be like, hey, do you want to come on? Do you want to talk?
Hmm.
Gives you content to create and it gives them free advertising, gives them something they can use.
Hmm.
Um, so, yeah, I can definitely see that through misery, opportunity is created.
Yeah, and I know that down the line, if they ever needed any video help, that they likely would reach out because I gave like I'm giving them help and somewhere to get their message out,
Yeah.
and hopefully that'll return later at some
You
point.
know, typically, from my experience, just as a human being, typically doing good for people makes them remember you more fondly.
I try.
Typically.
that's always my answer. I'm just like,
I try.
I'm
Yeah.
trying really hard, guys.
Yeah. Sometimes that's all you can do, but you're doing wonderfully at it.
Yeah.
Um,
I'm not always the person that likes to talk about it. Today is an exception,
yeah.
obviously,
It's your birthday.
but I feel like people just don't know. It's not that they don't care. If they knew, they would care a little
Yeah.
more, a little bit. But it's just that they don't know. Like they think that maybe I'm just hitting a button and I'm on live. Like I had to
Right.
buy equipment. Like I bought like probably $500 or $600 worth of streaming equipment before everything got sold out on Amazon,
Yeah.
so that I can do these lives, and I can also, like, if for some reason, like, just because I have like my press credentials and everything, a government agency for some reason needed a live stream, I would be able to go out and help. So
Right.
I at a time where money isn't exactly flowing, decided, hey, I'm going to do this thing. And
Right.
also like my streaming software and all of the different things like SoundCloud and all of those things, they all cost money when you're uploading as much as I am. But
Yeah. Might I
it's
recommend
not,
Mixcloud?
well, I'm already on there. But
Yeah.
but it's one of those things where like you don't realize all of the things that go into it. So hopefully like today you get a little bit more of an idea what I do.
Yeah. No, absolutely. And I think that's been a large theme of what we've been talking about is that again, everything looks if from just an outsider's perspective, it seems like you go live once a day for an hour and that's that. You
Mhm.
know, obviously I think people might be like, oh yeah, give or take like half an hour for setup and breakdown and whatnot. But
Mhm.
if you don't know, you don't know. Like
Well,
I'm not.
I also take time after each live to like do a post-mortem type meeting with
Yeah.
anyone who was on. I take the time to make sure that they have all of the content, all the links, and have a nice personalized thank you letter, basically.
Right.
Like it all takes time, but in the end, to me, it's worth it.
Yeah. No, and I don't want anyone watching or listening to think that we're grieving them for not knowing. It's just they don't know. Like it's one of those things you don't know, and you don't know that you don't know. So
I
you
also
can't.
feel like not a lot of creators either want to use their platform to talk about it, or they just don't want to come off as like, hey, I'm doing all this work, you should really be liking my stuff, because that's
Yeah.
not where I'm going with this either. It's more of just uh, uh like it's the same reason people make Patreons. It's
Yeah.
because they want to just have that supportive community.
Yeah. Well, they love what they're doing, and
Hmm.
typically when you launch a Patreon, it's not because you have like again, you're not a 10 subscriber YouTube channel launching your Patreon.
Hmm.
You're usually got a significant support base on the channel
Hmm.
or decent amount. Then you launch Patreon, and people can if they what was that?
I'm not there yet, but
It happens. Again, it always takes time, but if people love what you do because you love what you do, then they can support you. That's the whole point of Patreon, I think.
hmm, exactly. And I don't have one, but the people that do definitely show that they love their community, because some people do like one-on-one FaceTimes or do
Yeah.
exclusive content and things like that. And I mean, if I had the time, I would do all of that, the exclusive content and the
Yeah.
whatever. But I'm just trying to keep up with everything right now. It's pretty difficult to do as one person, and that's why a
No.
lot of these channels have like a team doing it.
Yeah. You often get those videos like, oh yeah, here's our team, or the better creators will always thank their team at the end of each
Hmm.
episode or whatever it is. But for you, that would just be thank you, me.
Sometimes Eric helps too.
Eric does help too, so God bless Eric for coming in and helping out.
Yes, we like him.
Yeah, we do like Eric.
For those of you that don't know, Eric's my boyfriend.
Yeah, if you couldn't put two and two together, that is set. um, but yeah, no, it's just it's been a wild ride. Uh, experiencing COVID from when it started, it was like, okay, people might get it. It's not
Mhm.
so bad though. And now it's like everyone's getting it, and you're lucky if you don't. So
Yeah,
it's been weird to evolve
it's
at
a
times.
unique time for everyone, because you've kind of been gifted time to do whatever it is that you want to do. A
Yes.
lot of people, they can't work at home, so they're just home. And for someone like me, like I tried multiple times over my life to get my social stuff going, like my YouTube channel. And this time I was like, screw it, we're going full throttle. Like,
Yeah.
and I know that not a lot of other people, but some other people are doing the same.
Yeah.
So, and a lot of people are doing it on TikTok. I can't dance, so I'm not. I have
Yeah.
one.
I
Can promise
don't.
to be dancing, but it's a really unique time, and I've been stressing this on different episodes and through everything. Now is the time to create and learn and try that thing that you've been wanting to do for like 6 years, and like
Absolutely.
that's why we're here right now. That's why I started this live stream show.
Yeah. No. COVID has definitely has either given you the time to do what you always wanted to do, or made a liar of you because you've said I would do this if I had the time.
Yeah.
Now you're not doing it, because that's
Hmm.
me. And I don't know what I promised myself I would do if I had the time, but I know I'm not doing it.
I'll just start texting you, Chris. Did you do the thing yet?
And I'll be like, I don't know what the thing is anymore, Celia.
I can still bother.
You could. And I will graciously accept any bothering.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But anyway, we are coming up to that hour mark, so
It is
it
for
might
about
be a good time for me to do all of my promotion and my ending stuff. What do you think?
yes. Do your promotions, do your endings, do any whatevers you have.
All right. Well, if you guys are looking to follow me, you can follow me on my Facebook page, Celia Werner Productions. You can follow me on Instagram, which is Celia_Werner. You can follow me on Instagram as well, at Celia Werner Productions. You can follow my YouTube page, which is Celia Werner. And then we're also on Apple Podcasts and SoundCloud under Candid Convos with Celia Werner. I really would, like, from the bottom of my heart, appreciate any likes, subscribes, shares that I can get. It really would mean the world, because I'm putting in full days every day trying to keep everyone together in community. And yeah, I don't want to get too sappy with my pitch for you guys to follow me, but yeah, that's where you guys can find me. And thank you so much, Chris, for taking the time to
Course.
come on here and be the substitute host today.
Of course. No, I think we were equal parts host on this, because we had a nice candid conversation.
Yes, so candid.
So candid. It was not planned at all. Actually, that's true. I have zero script in front of me. All we talked about, like, before the show was like, okay, what do you want me to hit? All right, these things, cool. We'll riff off of that.
Yeah, it was very, Chris, we're talking about content.
And I said, cool. I
we
could
did.
talk. I could talk content, except for like one blip in the middle where I was like, brain. Nah.
Yeah, but that's what I'm here for too. So
That's true.
I really appreciate it.
Yeah. So go follow. I have to point this way.
Yes,
Yes.
that way.
Because it's reversed for me. So go follow Celia on all those things: Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, SoundCloud, Apple Podcasts. I'm going to try to force Celia to put the podcast also on Spotify, because might as well.
You could show me how to do that. I would 100% do that.
I learned how to do it in college, and I will refresh myself, and I will find the correct way to get your RSS feed on there.
Yeah, it's probably just a submitting process, but
It is, but
I haven't even thought of that. But we will work on that.
yeah. So we'll get the podcast up on Spotify, so you can go back and watch all the episodes if you don't have any Apple products, which is weird in this day and age. If you have zero Apple products in this day and age, I'm shocked, because everyone
That's
has like
true.
at least one.
Yeah, either an iPad or like a MacBook or something like that.
Apple Watch. I don't know anyone listening to podcasts on their Apple Watch, but hey, I think you can.
I mean, you probably can. You can listen to music on there, but
Yeah,
I
so
feel like it might be hard to search.
it probably is, but if you have an Apple Watch, comment on this video and tell us how easy it is to find the podcast, and if you're listening to it via your Apple Watch, and I don't know, I'll leave like a small like clapping applause for you.
I'll make sure that you get that comment forwarded to you, Chris. Don't
yeah,
worry.
tag it.
Yeah, I read all of my comments, so
Yes,
I will
so
find it.
go follow Celia, like, share, subscribe, smash that like button. I don't know. That's like a YouTube thing, right?
I mean, you could kind of do that on Instagram. You hit the thing and swipe and hit the
You
thing.
can double tap.
Yeah.
But yeah, so again, like, share, subscribe. anything you can to help not just Celia, but all your favorite content creators because
Yeah.
they
Oh,
are
there's
putting
another
in.
Facebook. I mean, I have
Boom.
another FaceTime.
Yep.
I told
Okay.
you I was gonna get FaceTimed in the middle of this.
You only said one. That's two now, though.
The same person.
Well, they figured 30 minutes later was probably okay. They were
Mhm.
wrong, but they thought. But yeah, again, your content creators, your favorite content creators, they are putting in work to make you happy. So if you can support them in any way, do it. A lot of them aren't getting paid right now, or if unless they're an established content creator, which is then they get paid for
Mhm.
creating content. So
Yeah.
help them out any way you can. And once again, Celia, happy birthday and
Oh, thank you.
best of luck to you.
Thanks. I'm gonna make us disappear now, and I'm gonna go try and celebrate my birthday.
Do it.
All right. Bye, guys.
Bye.